Yeah, I know the right thing. I know the truth is I should do this. But am I going to apply the truth that will make me free? Or am I going to hold on to it yet? If I hold on to it, then it becomes my next blockage. It becomes my hindrance. I bump up against it wherever I go. Whatever I'm holding on to, I bump up against wherever I go. If I release it and hold it with an open hand and let God take care of it, yeah, I still meet it, but it doesn't control me. Now it's like, God, what do you want to do? Well, take this step. Okay, I can take that step. Then take this step. Okay, I can take that step. And we walk through it step by step. So I don't see the struggle being bad. If you keep struggling with the same thing over and over again, you have to check your choices. Check your decisions. Check what you're agreeing to. This life is a lot about choices. The decisions you make create the direction of your life. And so, if, for instance, I've decided that I want to live in forgiveness, which means that the person that is going to cut me off in traffic next week is already forgiven. So when that happens, I don't have to decide at that moment, do I forgive him? It's already done, so I just apply it at that moment. Applied. If I decide, shouldn't cut me off in traffic, I'm going to get angry about that. I'm going to hold on to that for 3 days, and then I'll think about forgiving him. Then that's how I live my life. Do you want to be angry for 3 days and then forgive? Do you want to be angry for 2 weeks and then forgive? Do you want to be angry for an hour and then forgive? What is your program? Check your program. You can check your program. It's actually good to check your program on your good days. It's really hard to check and change your program on your bad days. Okay? So I believe in checking your program on your good days. And you reevaluate the bad days. And you look at the bad days and you say, okay, why did I get angry there? Why did I make the decision I did? Why did I hold on to that for an hour or a day or a week or however long I do? Why didn't I immediately, when I knew I was angry, why did I not immediately do something about it? A struggle does not define my day. Now, if I would make all kinds of bad decisions, and I would choose to continue in those bad decisions, and I would hold on to bitterness and stuff like that, I would have to start labeling it a bad day. But it would come from my bad attitude and my bad choices. It doesn't just, a bad day doesn't just jump out at me. I don't get up in the morning wondering if I'm going to have a good day or not. I already know I'm going to. I don't remember the last bad day I've had. I used to have bad days, okay? But I don't remember when that was. It's been a little while. Challenging days? Yeah, I've had some of those this week. So check your program right now. Do you like the decisions you're making? Do you like the direction of your life? Do you like where you're at with shut down? Do you shut down, and why and how long? At what point do you arrest that thing and change it? What is your program? Can you look at it? What did you decide? How do you operate? If you're not sure, Maybe you should ask your spouse or your friends. They might know your program better than you do. Something goes wrong in your life. Do you whine and complain? Do you blame somebody? Do you beat yourself up? How many of you would consider yourself born again and a child of God? How many of you believe that it's okay to beat up a child of God? If you believe that you are a child of God, then you have to start believing that it's not okay to beat yourself up. And if you don't beat yourself up, you actually have to face the consequences. You have to face reality. You have to look at what is going on. Why did I make that decision? What am I going to do about it? How am I going to resolve this? And what am I going to learn out of it? It's a lot better to learn something from your mistakes than to beat yourself up. Beating yourself up is not an option. Plug that in right there. And while you're doing good right now, plug that into your belief system and decide, I will never, ever allow myself to beat myself up. Now, that doesn't mean it won't happen accidentally and you're like, your default program from before and you find yourself beating yourself up, but you might arrest yourself in the middle of it like, whoa, what am I doing? I decided I'm not going to beat myself up anymore. And so I repent on the spot for beating myself up. And I choose to learn from my mistakes. I choose to find out is this a mistake that I'm doing over and over again? And I need to change something. Or is it a new mistake? There's a big difference in making a new mistake or making the same one over and over again. Right? Do you see the difference? Go make some new mistake. Don't make the same ones over and over again. That's just unproductive. It's not productive at all. But making a new mistake is actually productive. It means that you're stepping out somewhere. You're trusting God with something. You're trying some stuff out, right? I actually enjoy watching my children step out and try something, even if they mess it up. As long as they're willing to learn from it and get better from it, it's actually a good thing. And if you make the same mistake over and over again, change it. If you can't change it by yourself, find somebody to help you. We're not designed to do everything by ourselves. God actually designed us to need each other. So you have some people that are trying to do everything by themselves and they need to reach out and get somebody to help them. And you have some people that just want to depend on everybody else. They need to step up and make some decisions for themselves. Some people are going through life with their will broken, and they're trying to get everybody else to make decisions for them. If anything gets close to what they want to do, it's easier for them to just go with your suggestion than to say what they really want. But at some point, you need your will healed to where you can make healthy decisions and you can decide to step out even if you're going to make a mistake. Part of healing your broken will has to do with giving yourself permission to make some mistakes. And people with a broken will usually are also the same people who have been taught or believe somehow that it is not okay to make a mistake. And so they're avoiding mistakes with everything they've got. And that's why they don't want to make a decision, which is why they get needy, which is why they need everybody else to cater to them and things like that. And so how can we help them to start making some decisions and supporting them in their mistakes, to learn from their mistakes, and to not beat themselves up? Now you can ask yourself, did I make a mistake here? You can ask God that. You can ask even other people that. But you can't beat yourself up and then do it. You won't get the same results. But if you genuinely want to know, you're like, okay, I stepped out in faith here. I need to reevaluate that. Was that God? I believe it was. Okay, so why didn't it work? And you kind of follow that path and you see that, okay, well, I stepped out, it was working until I hit this. And then, okay, so what do I do with this? And so if I remove that, then my pathway is open again. And, it brings you to a place of understanding, okay, so what is going on and how can I get through this? But if you're like, oh, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have done that, then you start blocking yourself from making decisions. Okay, so remember the who I am. If you see this as you probably won't beat yourself up. Because you'll start seeing, okay, there is a problem here. I am not that problem, but I have a problem. There's a difference in I am the problem or I have a problem. When you have a problem, then you can start adjusting and you can start evaluating and you can start finding solutions or have somebody else help you with the solution. But when you believe I am the problem, now you're stuck. Okay? Because all you can do now is either shut down or self-reject or get angry at yourself. What else can you do? And so there's a big difference between an I am and an I have. Right? So you are not a problem, but you have a problem. You know that? If you know that, then you can start looking at what is the problem and what can I do about it. So there's something, we took a training on problem solving, and there's a thing called IDS. It's identify, discuss, and solve. And a lot of times people are trying to solve their problem before they have fully identified it. And so what they're doing is they're solving symptoms. They're solving like surface things, and they're not getting down to the root of what is that problem. So you look at what is the problem, and then you look at it and say, okay, is this the problem? And you start realizing, well, no, it's really not the problem. There's something behind that. Okay, so what is that? Then you look at, okay, so what is then the problem? What's this? Okay, is that the problem? And then if it's yes, you start solving it, discussing it and solving it. If it's no, it's like, okay, then what is the problem? And you kind of follow that trail back to, it's actually this. If this would change, these 14 things would change. So why would I focus on these 14 things when it's this thing that needs to change? And if I change this, it is going to change them. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you hit the problem right away. It's like, yep, that is the problem. I got to solve it. But sometimes, like for the most part, anger is not the problem. For the most part, anger is not the problem. Are you listening? Mm-hmm. For the most part, lust is not the problem. Okay, if you have anger problems or lust problems or things like that, that's probably not the problem. What you want to do is you're going to dig a little deeper. What is behind that? And you'll find things like insecurity and fears and things like that. And you start looking at, okay, is this fear the problem? Is this insecurity the problem? And then where's that coming from? And what do I do about that? And you resolve that and you find out that the other stuff just changes. So after you have identified it, then you discuss it. And if you're doing it by yourself, you discuss it with yourself. You discuss it with God. Maybe you discuss it with some friends. But for the purpose of solving the problem. Don't discuss it for the purpose of blaming others and and fueling your bitterness or your rejection or your shutdown or your justification for being angry or things like that. Don't do it for the purpose of fueling that stuff. Discuss it for the purpose of finding the solution. When you find as you discuss it, it becomes pretty obvious, and then the solution usually has to do with who does what by when. And so, for instance, and maybe it is, I choose to forgive this person right now. That's a who. I does what, forgive by when, right now. Or at least by tomorrow night. Well, forgiveness doesn't usually work that way. Right? Forgiveness works way better instantly. Because just the very idea that we're going to wait till tomorrow night is a decision against it. Now, if I decide that by tomorrow night, I want to have called this person, that's okay. Maybe it doesn't suit to call him right now, right? But for the most part, forgiveness works better instantly. Repentance works better instantly. Some of these things just work better instantly. Whenever you notice it, you do it right now. 26 seconds is kind of like your maximum. You get a revelation, and 26 seconds later, it should be done. Of forgiveness and repentance and things like that. If it takes longer than that, then you probably have to IDS it again. Identify what is this? What is going on? What is down there deeper? Let's say that I hurt you. And you kind of parked that somewhere. And 10 years later, somebody shows up that looks like me. And you just don't like that person. It doesn't matter how nice they are, you just do not like them. No matter what they do, you don't like them. And you start finding out, okay, why don't I like that person? Well, he reminds me of Steve. Okay, well, what don't I like about Steve? Well, I remember instantly this thing right here. Boom. Okay, so what am I going to do with that? And you start, you're identifying, okay, this is actually the problem. Oh, wait a minute. That reminds me of what my dad did 20 years before that yet. So maybe that's the problem. So I leave that and I go right back here to what did Dad do 20 years ago that I need to forgive? Oh, it was this. And you deal with that, and suddenly it's easy to forgive Steve, and it's easy to forgive the person over here. And it follows that track, that trail. We don't know what all we have parked in our heart. You don't know everything you have parked in your heart. Are you with me? You don't know. You do not remember everything you have parked in your heart. But if you trust God to take you on a journey, and He uses situations and circumstances to bring it right up in front of you, and you choose that when it shows up, you're going to do something with it, you're on a good journey. Your path is going to consist of obstacles in your way. Nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets a paved highway up the mountain in a straight line and you just go up that mountain and cruising along. Hallelujah, everything is great. When you are called to go on this journey with God, there are going to be obstacles. Okay? Are you with me yet? Look at your neighbor and say, there are going to be obstacles. It's better when you know this. Because then when you meet the obstacles, it doesn't ruin your day. You were expecting some obstacles. So right here you are. I was expecting you. And I'm not saying expecting them as in, hey, just put obstacles in my way. I choose obstacles. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're going along and you know there's going to be challenges in your life. In fact, as a human being, if the path that you're on doesn't have enough of challenges, you're going to direct a new path. You are not going to put up with no challenges. If your life gets too boring because not enough of challenges, you're going to change directions. Let's say you play volleyball and you play a team that you can easily beat. Do you just really look forward to playing them every week? Do you play your video game? Did you beat that first level? Did you stay there? No, you're looking for a challenge. So you immediately go to level 2. You're immediately looking for who's better that I can face. You know why? Because you love failure. If you would not like failure, you would just play the safe games. Just play Candyland with your children. And just keep playing it, and then play it with the adults too. Right? I mean, I'm guessing for most of you, that's not your game of choice. Right? Why is that? Because you want a challenge. You want to see if you can fail. Good morning, everybody. If you cannot fail, you do not get any pleasure out of winning. You play a team that is so lame that you beat them 21-0 every time. You don't look forward to playing them again. Are you with me? Am I right? Okay? Because there is no opportunity for you to lose. And so there is no release. There's no dopamine release. There's no oxytocin release. There's no release in your body. No rewards release in your body for winning. No, you don't want to lose every time either, because you don't get a release from that either. But we are operating on a reward system that God put there. That when you face challenges and you overcome them, you get a rewards release inside of yourself that is amazing. If you have not had a win for a while, you need to find one. Okay, are you listening? If you have not had a win for a while, you need to find one. If you are only winning, you need to find some challenges. And so what happens is you're playing this video game, you're at level 1, you beat that, you go to level 2 immediately to see if you can fail. If you can't fail at level 2, you go to level 3. If you can't fail at level 3, you go to level 4. If you can't fail at level 4, you go to level 5. Most of us don't make it past that. Maybe 6. If you go 5 or 6 levels, and you have not failed yet, you lose interest in the game. But if you can't get past level 1, and you just keep trying, you lose interest in the game too. Unless somebody else beats it. If somebody else beats level 1, then maybe you're going to try again. And if you can't get it, then you're going to talk to them and find out what they did. That will help you to overcome level 1. This is how we operate. And so we go through life. We need enough of challenges that we can then overcome, and we get a release. We get a rewards release from that. And now we feel good about it. And how many have prayed this prayer? God, that was so awesome. Use me again. I want more. Anybody ever pray that? Right, because you like the release that came with it. And so you're setting up your next challenge. When the challenge comes, You're thinking, why, God? I didn't ask for this. Really? You sure? I thought you prayed, God, I want more. How does God give you more? For the most part, God does not give you more by handing it to you on a platter ready to eat. For the most part. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't do that. Sometimes he does do that. He gives you it right on a platter ready to go. But for the most part, he gives you a seed that you sow. Or he gives you a challenge that you overcome. That's how God grows you. And so you're looking for a meal, and God gives you a seed. You're looking for a chicken dinner, and God gives you an egg ready to hatch. You're looking for more muscles, and God gives you a rock to push up against, or some weights to lift. Well, God, I didn't ask for weights to lift. I just wanted more muscles. God could give me more muscles, couldn't he? For the most part, not. Not how God operates for the most part. Like, you don't know very many people that got big, bulky muscles because God decided one morning, I think I'm going to give you muscles. Right? But we have this warped idea of how God should do other things. If God would want to, he could this and this and this. Maybe not. Maybe not as much as you think. Maybe it doesn't work that way. Maybe when you want to grow, he gives you a challenge. Maybe when you need help with that challenge, he sends somebody to encourage you. Or to challenge you some more. You actually, somewhere inside of yourself, if you're honest with yourself, you are looking for a place to fail so that you can have a place to succeed. You're looking for a place to struggle with so that you can get to your reward. So enjoy the journey. Learn to enjoy the journey. Learn to take your next step. God, what is my next step? I'm going to leave here at the end of the week, and I'm going to go back to where my problems are. What is my next step?